Okay, so our video for today is 14.2 frequency and histograms. And so make sure you take good notes. Make sure that you pause the video when you need to take the right notes. So at the beginning of each slide, it would be a good idea to pause for that slide and take the notes for that slide and then listen to me talk about it. That would be a good idea. So make sure you do that. All right, we have the very first thing, vocab word, is a stem and leaf plot. And then it arranges by dividing each data value into two parts. This allows you to see each data value. Okay? So stem and leaf plot is the first word or the first vocab term that we're going to learn. And then now we have an example of what a stem and leaf plot is down below. Okay? So on this stem and leaf plot, you see the values listed for number of students in each of the elective classes at a school. And it's 24, 14, 12, 25, so on and so forth. And we've made it into a stem and leaf plot, which is right here. This is the stem and leaf plot. Okay. Notice that the tens digits are the stems. Okay, that's over here, like 0, 9, 1, 2. 1, 2 means 12. 1, 4 means 14. 1, 8 means 18. 1, 8 means 18. So on and so forth. So this right here is a key that's very important. That's explaining that 2 on the left-hand side is the 2 here, and the 3 on the right-hand side is 3, and that altogether that means 23. Okay? So that is stem and leaf plot. We'll practice those in class tomorrow. Okay? The next thing, and probably more important, is what we call a frequency table. Okay? A frequency table, and this may be the first time that you've seen a frequency table. Okay? The frequency of a data value is the number of times that it occurs. Okay? This is very important that you understand the definition. The number of times something occurs is the frequency that it occurs. Okay? A frequency table just shows that. It shows the frequency that things occur. Okay? So let's take an example. Let's take a look at this example below of the frequency table. Okay? So you have frequencies here of golfers and their scores in a tournament. Okay, and so you've got these different scores that the golfers made in a tournament. Okay, going across. All right, and we want to make a frequency table of that information. So frequency table, the first thing is you identify the least and the greatest values. 68 is the least, 82 is the greatest. So I know my table is going to have to go from 68 all the way to 82 at least. Okay, and then we decide how to divide the data into equal intervals. Okay, so for this data, we're going to divide it into intervals of 3. That could be whatever you want. It could be intervals of 4, 5, 2, whatever makes sense for the problem, to divide it up into equal intervals. Okay, so for this one, we go values of 3. So down here, it looks like this. Okay, it looks like 68 to 70, 71 to 73, so on and so forth. And then we make lists. We list wherever the intervals that they fall in. So you could go through and make tally marks, and as every time check off 77 goes in this one, then 71 goes in this one, so on and so forth, and make a frequency chart, or frequency table, excuse me. It may be called a frequency chart as well. Okay? So this right here is a frequency chart, and all it's doing is explaining that in the golf tournament, in the scores in the golf tournament, that three golfers made a score from 68 to 70, 4 golfers scored from 71 to 73, 6 golfers scored from 74 to 76, and you can tell by the chart that this was the most common frequency, 74 to 76. Okay, now the least common frequency was 80 to 82. Okay, so there's a lot you can tell from a frequency chart. Okay, so next thing, last slide here is a histogram. Okay, a histogram is a bar graph used to display frequency of data. Okay, so star this. Make sure you write that down. Okay, basically a histogram is a bar graph of or from a frequency table. All right, so it's just taking what we did on the last page or the last slide and putting it into a table or a bar graph. Okay, and so if we look at this example right here, we can say that this was the exact same intervals from the last frequency chart. Okay, if you notice that 68, 70, 3 golfers scored that level, 71 to 73 right there, that 4 golfers scored that level, and then 6 golfers scored this level. So if we go back and we look at the previous slide, it's exactly the same as this frequency chart down here, okay, is exactly the same thing, except for now it's in a bar graph, okay? It's in a bar graph, and we've made a bar graph out of it, okay? So the same steps are basically going to be taken. We're going to use the scale and interval from the frequency table. We're going to draw a bar graph for the number of scores in each interval, okay? So it's the same exact thing. And then obviously you have to have a title, and you have to label the sides. Frequency over here and scores down here. You always have to make sure that you put titles on things, and you label the sides of each graph to explain what they are and what we're looking at. So if someone else was to look at your paper, they would be able to tell what it is that you're doing and what it is that that graph is trying to explain. Okay? So those are your only notes. Make sure you take them and bring them to class with you tomorrow.